Wellesley. Okay, so Wellesley, he comes in 1798. The in-between period from 1793 to 98, that belongs to John Shaw. Then we have Wellesley. Now again, Wellesley is very important. He is a person who is very ferocious. The first personality who was going to increase his footprint over majority of the part of India. And he's going to be very furious in his approach. Okay, so there is often a term which is used with him. He is given the title of Bengal Tiger. Okay, he is considered as Bengal Tiger. वैसे दादा को देते हैं for cricket Bengal Tiger, but before him है ना बहुत सारे tigers आ चुके हैं बंगाल में, and he was one of them. Why he was one of them, you'll see. So his arrival is a turning point because his policy is going to be very aggressive in nature. He is not going to be limiting himself with one or two areas. He is going to finish off Tipu Sultan. So Mysore will be annexed. He is going to defeat Marathas in the second Anglo-Maratha war. Okay, and he is also going to lay down the policies which will eventually become very turmoil for the Indian princes. This principle of subsidiary alliance. This will also be created by Wellesley. Okay, so let us understand. So his goal, his name was Richard Wellesley. There were two Wellesley in India. Richard Wellesley was the Governor General and Arthur Wellesley. It was his brother and he was the military commander. I think in 2018 or 2019, UPSC ने नाम पूछ लिया था पूरा. Everybody knows Wellesley. But Wellesley के आगे भी तो पता होना चाहिए कि Richard Wellesley है या फिर Arthur Wellesley है. So remember, Richard Wellesley was Governor General and Arthur Wellesley was his brother and he was a military commander. When such questions are asked, it's like यार ये क्या है ये, है ना, सिर्फ नेम के ऊपर परेशान कर दिया. पूरी जिंदगी वेलेस्ले पढ़ा है, बाद में पूछ लिया उनका पूरा नाम बता दो. पूरा नाम में फिर हमें क्या करना आता है, लॉर्ड वेलेस्ले. लॉर्ड कैन बी यूज्ड विद एनीवन. So that's why remember their name. Sometimes they become relevant just because a question has been asked. The most important tool that he used was subsidiary alliance system. We'll talk about its features and how it was implemented. But see his major goal. His major goal was transform British Empire in India to British Empire of India. ठीक है, पूरे इंडिया को ही कवर करने की कोशिश कर रहा था ये. तो British Empire of India is something which he was trying to create. He was having certain challenges when he came to India. Like number one, in the northwest there was threat of invasion by Zaman Shah. In north and center we were having very powerful Marathas. Hyderabad, French influence was increasing in Nizam's army. Karnataka, the political unrest continued under Tipu Sultan, and even in south Tipu Sultan remained a very big enemy for the British. So what was his justification? Okay, he was not happy with John Shaw's policy. John Shaw's policy was non-intervention, कि हमें ज़्यादा कुछ अंदर जाए, and he saw it as weak and effective. And finally, he used this fear to the maximum. Okay, the rise of Napoleon. Napoleon was a personality from France, and he is somebody which we'll discuss a lot about in the world history. Napoleon, he was trying to come through Egypt. In 1798, he has a Egypt expedition also. He came all the way up to the Egypt. Had he crossed Egypt, he could have come towards India. And France, since 1789, 1789 is the very important year because that is the year of French Revolution. So that revolution had started, and as a result of that revolution, majorities of the countries of continental Europe, है ना, देखो यूरोप में दो पार्ट हैं, एक आइलैंड एरिया, एक कॉन्टिनेंटल है. आइलैंड एरिया मोस्टली इज द यूके एरिया, ओके, एंड द कॉन्टिनेंटल यूरोप इट वाज अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ Napoleon. That's why Napoleon was having the potential to come to India. That is another story that he could not do so, and he was defeated in Egypt. It failed and he went back to France. So his focus remained mostly in the European area. However, potential French invasion of the East was the main excuse which will be utilized by Mr. Wellesley. And he's going to take many actions, he's going to fight many wars, and he will start with the first personality who was very close to French, and that is Tipu Sultan. Okay, so he is going to be that person. If we see his aims, restore British prestige, eliminate French influence, and ensure a strong British India to combat internal tyranny as well as corruption. And for doing also, he came out with the principle of subsidiary alliance. Okay, so that principle of subsidiary alliance, even though initially we had discussed yesterday that when we discussed about Second Carnatic War, it was Dupleix who came for the first time with the idea of subsidiary alliance, कि कैसे हमें intervene करना है in the internal affairs of the Indian kings or the princes. However, this will be taken to the next level by him. Okay, so let us first try to understand कि what is this idea of subsidiary alliance. This subsidiary system was built on the already alliance that they were having with Awadh as well as Hyderabad. Like Awadh has already signed the Treaty of Allahabad in 1765, as well as Hyderabad was under their control, and his innovation was broader application and strict enforcement. Let us try to understand what were the main features. Like number one, whichever state is going to sign this subsidiary alliance treaty, they have to disband their army. अपनी army को उन्होंने बंद कर देना है ना, ठीक है, खत्म, employment zero. But at the same time, what will happen? They will house the British military contingent. British will send their own army, which is known as subsidiary force. This subsidiary force will come, and this is going to be stationed in the Indian state. This is the first provision of subsidiary alliance. Protected states paid for these troops. और ये free की service नहीं है. You have to pay for it. Okay, and you can, how you can pay? You can pay by giving us some revenue, or you can pay us by giving up some piece of land. That is up to you. वो आपकी choice है. And British ensured external security and internal peace for the protected state, at least in theory. This is what they were trying to do. Second, very important provision. The first provision, I hope it is clear. They have to disband their own army, and their army is going to be replaced by the British troops, and this is not going to be a welfare scheme. They have to pay for it. पैसा दो या फिर हमें land दो. Second, your foreign relations are going to get sacrificed. What will happen? Protected state sever ties with other European power, especially with France, because France was their enemy number one. And no independent political interaction with the other Indian states without British approval. Means they could not fight a war, they could not sign a peace treaty. They have to always look towards the British, and they will take care of everything. So these are the two provisions which are very essential. And the biggest problem with this is British are now controlling their own land because उनकी army खत्म हो गई. They can never fight with them. And second, the foreign relations. And since now they cannot create alliance with the other Indian states. So this was a master stroke. The British are going to utilize it to their best. If we see the internal governance, one person was sent, okay, to look after that there should be no misgovernance in the province. That person was known as British resident, है ना? ये जीजा जी की तरह आके बैठ जाते थे कि let us sit and see what is happening, and how the province is getting governed. This is the system of internal governance. They disbanded their own armies, employed no Europeans without British permission. No European can become a part of their governance setup without the approval of the British. In general, they used to say we will not intervene, no intervenes. British theoretically remained uninvolved in internal affairs of protected state, but this was not so because British resident उसी के लिए तो बैठा है वहाँ पे, है ना? He was given the right kind of power, and for each and every minor or major activity, he used to report directly to the Governor General. So that's why they can take action on any specific issue. See the benefits for the British. Number one, it increased their military strength. Now the military was loyal to the British, but who was paying for them? Indian states. तो इनको तो फायदा हो रहा है, कोई नुकसान ही नहीं है. You can hire as many people as possible because the protected states are going to pay for it, and at the same time they will stay far away from the initial headquarters. Number two, enhance the security prospectus because time and again they increase their number of states which were controlling the area of subsidiary lines. Then strategic advantage. With the period of time, now they could disband any specific kingdom. They could capture it at will. Like Awadh, it signed the subsidiary alliance treaty, and then in 1856 it was taken over and it was annexed completely. जहां मन में चाहे वो कर सकते हो. That is a very big strategic advantage which they were having because the army of the protected state, it was disbanded. If we see the political control, it increased economic gains. Okay, they also increased for the British. They could expand as per their own will, and with the period of time, they came out with various innovations like doctrine of lapse we were discussing. Okay, so doctrine of lapse means that if you do not have a natural heir, then you can adopt somebody, but if British does not give the approval, then your area, it will come into the British Empire. That is what is known as lapse, lapsing of the sovereignty. And the cumulative effect made British the undisputed or the paramount power in India. That's why subsidiary alliance system is very, very important. For exam also UPSC asks this from time to time. ये क्वेश्चन कभी 10 मार्कर में आता है, कभी 20 मार्कर में आता है. In NCERT they have given it very beautifully. Okay. Plus the important thing is, at the same time, the subsidy alliance system was having large number of defects which were going to be very problematic for the Indian state. Like number one, it increased anarchy. Why it increased anarchy? Because disbanded soldiers from these states, they roamed unemployed, resorting to banditry. Like the biggest example is that of Pindaris, okay, who used to work along with Marathas. The moment they were disbanded, eventually they have no other profession. So for their own basic upkeep, what they will do, they will go for different kinds of illegal activities, which can create law and order problems. Second, it demoralized rulers. These rulers are not having right kind of authority now, because everything is in the hand of British. And what they did, they started neglecting their administration with the period of time. And what happened as a result of that? Many of them, they became tyrant. Okay, and later on, when Indian freedom struggle started, in fact, they were also targeted by the Indian National Congress, because this is what they would do. Previously, if they were misgoverning, they could be upthrown. But now the British is providing them security. तो उनका जो मन में चाहे वो कर सकते हैं, except autonomy, which will not be given by the British. Vulnerability to annexation, which we have seen in the case of Awadh. Economic burden, because time and again they had to give money or they have to give a piece of land. Either their empire will shrink or the kingdom will shrink, or the money or the treasury is going to get exhausted. Any of the one thing is bound to happen. And overall, if we see, it created an atmosphere of unstable peace. It led to very large level of exploitation, and finally it limited the modernization in these areas, because naturally these princes were in favor of status quo. They were not in favor of any kind of democracy. So that's why all these things which were British were trying to do in their own area, that could not percolate to these areas. And in general, what happened? The subsidy alliance, while benefiting the British, had negative consequences for Indian state, fostering instability, misrule, and ultimately paving the way for further British control. घूम फिर के पहले वो उनको protection देते थे that you can do anything. When they used to misrule, then they say on the basis of misgovernance, we are capturing your area. So again, the British control became supreme. So both sides of the coin, they went to the British. There was nothing which was beneficial for the princes. There was only one thing: the dynasty is going to sustain till the pleasure of British. जैसे कि यहाँ पे होता है ना कि PM is till the pleasure of president. There it is just like they can stay in their position till the pleasure of British. वो जब तक British कुछ नहीं करेंगे, कोई problem नहीं है. Nobody is going to come and capture them from the outside. If we see this subsidy alliance system, so the first state where it was imposed, it was the state of Hyderabad. It signed in 1798. First state brought down. Treaty fixed on annual subsidy for a British force. French troops disbanded and they were replaced by British. And by 1800, the Nizam also ceded territory like known as ceded districts. By 1799, Tanjore also signed it, and here Sarfoji, he retained his title but with a pension. Then more states like Surat, Karnataka as well as Awadh, they had signed the treaty of subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary alliance is something which was going to be number one policy for controlling different parts of India. It's going to have very big strategic advantage for the British, and eventually finishing off all the major states in India. इनके सिर्फ आप नाम याद रख सकते हो, एज सच इनकी डिटेल कभी यूपीएससी नहीं पूछता है, ठीक है. We should just remember the example. The first state you have to remember mandatorily in your prelims. This kind of question can come. That Hyderabad was the first state which implemented the subsidy alliance treaty. Or a question like this: which of the following state were a part of subsidiary alliance system? तो वहाँ पे आपसे पूछ सकते हैं only 1, only 2, only 3, only 4. So you should be aware about that also. Such kind of questions can also be created. PPT तो आप लोगों के साथ शेयर हो ही जाएगी, तो उसको आप यूटिलाइज कर सकते हो. Keep it with yourself. Then the major war, the first major war which was fought by him, it was against the Tipu Sultan. Tipu Sultan was completely disliked by him. Okay, so what were the major causes this time around? The major causes: number one, it was Tipu Sultan's desire for revenge. Second, he wanted to strengthen Mysore and resist the British imperialism. Third, he again tried to forge the foreign alliances. He tried it with France, Arabia, Afghanistan, which was not liked by the British. And finally, it was the rise of Napoleon. When the Napoleon was rising, okay, so British, what they did, they tried to revive this triple alliance again with Marathas as well as Nizam. They secured a subsidiary alliance with the Nizam, removing the French troop from Hyderabad. Then they demanded the Tipu to accept a subsidiary alliance treaty, which he refused. But I am not going to sign it. Whatever may happen, let us see क्या हो सकता है. Okay, so what happened? Tipu ignored the British demand, which eventually led to the war. And in this war, okay, a coordinated attack started from Bombay as well as Madras, and it was led by Arthur Wellesley. He was Richard Wellesley's brother. He trapped Tipu in his own capital, Srirangapatnam. Tipu Sultan, he was very close to getting killed. Okay, so he was having two options, either to surrender or to fight till his death. So he chose the second option. He says, I'm not going to become a prisoner or hostage of British. It's better to die honorably rather than die every day. This was his approach. That's why he fought fiercely but was killed defending the city when it fell to the British. The outcomes were very clear. It was a decisive victory. This was the final victory over the Mysore. After this, the Mysore chapter is closed. It's end of, just before the end of 18th century, the Mysore ends. Tipu Sultan dies, and finally their capital also falls along with it. So now this is going to become a dependency of the British, and eventually it's going to be the end of Mysore. Once we see the end of the Mysore, one of the previous dynasty that was revived, this dynasty's name is Wadiyar dynasty. Okay, so Wadiyar dynasty. So one of their minor ruler, 5-year-old, kya kismat hai, 5-year-old Krishna Raj III, he was revived, and he was one of the descendant of the dethroned Hindu Raja, and he was again given the throne at Mysore, which became the capital almost after the 200 years, and Punriya, the previous minister, became Diwan. So in a way, what British used to do, they were very, very sharp in this. What they used to do, that Tipu Sultan was not having the right kind of legitimacy to rule Mysore, and we are freeing you from this kind of misgovernance. And now the original dynasty, what was the original dynasty? Wadiyar dynasty. In fact, it was the Wadiyar dynasty which was taken over by first by the Hyder Ali and then by the Tipu Sultan. Hyder Ali at least respected the king and never took the title of Padshah, but the title of Padshah was taken by Tipu Sultan. And that's why British always use these kinds of gimmicks and then eventually legitimize their actions. The parts of the kingdom, they were divided between the British and the Nizam. The whole of Kanra, Wayanad, Coimbatore, Dharmapuri, Sringapatnam, they were retained by British, whereas Nizam was given the area of Guti as well as Chittor as well as Chitradurg districts. Okay, and a British resident, ye to hona hi last mein, he was stationed at Mysore, and Tipu's family was sent to the fort of Vellore. This is how the whole picture of Mysore ended. After this, the next rival for them was Marathas. Marathas had already fought a war with the British, which concluded with the Treaty of Salbai in 1782. It's been around 20 years. Now Marathas, one biggest problem of Marathas will never come from outside, it will come from inside. Okay, at this time also the problem was with respect to, the governance of Balaji Rao II. What this person was doing, he was trying to divide the Maratha Sardars. By this time they were already divided into different major confederacies, which includes the Gaikwad, Holkar, Scindia, okay, all of them, Bhonsle. So Nana Fadnavis, he was the most important leader of the Marathas. He was the one who carried out them during the time of First Anglo-Maratha War. He died in 1800. Nana, please remember his name, Nana Fadnavis. He died in 1800. There is a British civil servant who said that with the death of Nana Fadnavis, all the wisdom departed Maratha kingdom. जितना भी सूझबूझ थी सब क्या हो गई, खत्म हो गई. अब पागलपन शुरू होने वाला है. देखते हैं क्या होने वाला है. Okay, so that's why Nana Fadnavis was very important. Why Nana Fadnavis was very important? Because the first crisis which came in the Maratha kingdom, it came after the death of Madhav Rao, okay, by 1772, and the war which was fought from 1775 all the way up to 1782. He was the one who fought with the British and who ensured that the differences between these different Sardars could be minimized to the level where they could stick together at least. But this thing was bound to collapse once he died. Okay, so what happened just after his death? The infighting again started. There was a war which was going on between Holkar and Scindia. The Peshwa, even though he was the major person, he was the main personality, Peshwa decided to side with Scindia against Holkar. Now Holkar was very powerful. Holkar defeated Peshwa along with Scindia, and then he even plundered Pune. So that's why the internal dissension. Every time UPSC ने कम से कम 4 से 5 बार एक ही क्वेश्चन पूछा है, and the question is same, that the Marathas they declined because of internal stress. Internal stress हर बार आता है इनका. Like during the first Anglo-Maratha war, it was Raghunath Rao who was having the ambition of becoming Peshwa. He murdered few people around him, and that created the stage for the first Anglo-Maratha war. See, the second is also starting in the same manner. The fight is between Holkar and Scindia. Scindia is having the support of Bajirao II, and finally Holkar defeats both of them. And that's why eventually Bajirao II, he runs to the British and he signed the Subsidiary Alliance Treaty. On 31st of December 1802, he signed the treaty. Once this treaty was signed, because Peshwa was the nominal head of whole of Maratha kingdom or Maratha empire, naturally all the other people, they came under the overall supremacy of British, which was not liked by the other Maratha Sardars. So that's why they had to fight with the British individually, who were defeated by the British with ruthlessness. So let us see how it starts. So Bajirao II, he sought British help and he signed Subsidiary Alliance Treaty. पहली बार भी यही हुआ था, that Raghunath Rao he signed the Treaty of Surat, है ना? Then उसको change करके पुरंदर करने की कोशिश की by 1776, which was not liked by the British. The fighting continued, and finally in 1782, Treaty of Salbai was signed, and the side of the Raghunath Rao was now no longer supported by the British. Same problem starts here. Subsidiary Alliance Treaty is signed. British recognized Bajirao II as the Maratha head. Maratha foreign policy was now to be controlled by the British, which is a simple part of Subsidiary Alliance Treaty. And finally, this was viewed by Maratha as a surrender of independence. Finally, the main plan, treaty was a major victory for Wellesley. British troops led by again Arthur Wellesley, they restored Bajirao II to power because Pune was brought down by the activities of Holkar. Treaty created resentment among other Maratha leaders. Stage was set for future conflict. So the Maratha war starts by 1803, by the next year. And when we see this war, it starts, this treaty of Basin, which we see, this was a treaty of subsidiary alliance. Okay, इसलिए इसका नाम याद रखना है. First was a treaty of Salbai, which was more of a peace treaty, okay, which was going to end the war. But a treaty of Basin, this was a kind of betrayal. Okay, this was a kind of betrayal because the Peshwa signed it for his own personal ambition, and which was not liked by Maratha Sardars like Scindia as well as Bhosle. They united and they challenged the British dominance. However, this was not possible. Wellesley declared war in 1803. Victories came first against Scindia as well as Bhosle. Again, Arthur Wellesley captured Ahmednagar and won the Battle of Aysay. Bhosle forces were defeated at Argaon, leading to Treaty of Devgaon, and then the treaties also led to the taking of some of the territories like Cuttack. Then Lord Lake started his campaign. Okay, Marathas, they were powerful in North India. That's why Lord Lake captured Delhi. So Delhi came there under their control for the first time in 1803. So ध्यान रखना. And this was the part of this second Anglo-Maratha war. So Delhi came under their control, and it took the Mughal emperor under British protection. Previously, the Mughal emperor was under the protection of Marathas. Now he was under the control of the British. Occupied Agra through negotiation with Bharatpur. Heavy Maratha losses at the Battle of Agra, and the Treaty of Surji Arjun Gaon was signed, and Scindia signed a subsidiary alliance. So one after the other, Bhosle was defeated, then Scindia was defeated. So this started the process. Peshwa had already signed the subsidiary alliance, so he was no longer required to fight. Only one power was left, and that power was Holkar. Okay, so he remained neutral even during this Scindia-Bhosle conflict due to rivalry. He had lots of demands for alliance with the British, and finally the British declared war against Holkar. However, this campaign remained inconclusive. Okay, so Holkar would not be defeated, and Maratha power significantly was weakened by this war. they gained their significant territory, and finally, seed of future conflict with Holkar was sown. So Holkar was the only personality which was left after the Second Anglo-Maratha War. And again, remember एक ही चीज को ध्यान रखना, the theme, Marathas are always affected by their internal rivalry. है ना, elections चल रहे हैं, we see the two parties, Shiv Sena, NCP, both again internal rivalries, both have been broken. So I was talking to one of the person from Maharashtra. He said Maratha का history में ही यही लिखा है ना. This is happening time and again. चाहे वो हमारी politics हो चाहे कुछ भी हो, always the danger come from inside. हमेशा चाचा भतीजा वाली लड़ाई चलती रहती है. So anyway, this was something which was going to be very problematic for them in the future. So if we see under Wellesley, okay, so Wellesley is able to capture Mysore, okay, is able to get this area 1800 from Hyderabad, is able to defeat the Marathas. Some part of Odisha is taken by him from Bhosle, and finally he will reaches up to Delhi. Awadh was already taken by signing a treaty of subsidiary alliance. So he was able to create a big empire. That's why, suppose if a question is asked to you that how did he change the status of British from British Empire in India to British Empire of India. So this is British Empire of India. Okay, majority of the nooks and corners of at least the India of today was taken by Wellesley. Only few areas were remaining. Two most important power which could have replaced the your Mughals. Number one was Marathas. Number second, who was having some protection, was Mysore. But both of them, they were completely subdued and finished by him. That's why he is a very important personality who led the British paramountcy coming into the picture. If we see his estimate, so he was number one, he was a empire builder for the British. Number two, he also led the concept of British paramountcy. Paramountcy means that we are the supreme power. You have to just always look down, okay? You have to always look down when we are looking. So that is something which he did. He started a sound system which is known as subsidiary alliance, which became very, you can say, pragmatic in nature. Territorial expansion was done by him. It helped in creating the province of Agra, brought a large part of India under British control, transformed the East India Company, है ना, जो कि पहले एक ट्रेड के ऊपर फोकस करती थी. Now they were now going to become a very important imperial power. The biggest criticism is majority of the actions taken by Wellesley, they were aggressive in nature. They were not the requirements of the time. जैसे कि पहले के गवर्नर जनरल थे, they were defensive in nature. They were only fighting when it was required. But he was somebody of a different nature. Okay, different breed altogether. His successor included Sir George Barlow, who ruled from 1805 to 07, and he faced the Vellore Mutiny. Vellore Mutiny is one of the first mutiny, okay, which we have in our Indian National Army, INA, which will become. Then we have Lord Minto. Lord Minto ruled from 1807 to 1813. He negotiated the Treaty of Amritsar with Raja Ranjit Singh. Ranjit Singh was the one who led the Punjab and witnessed the Charter Act of 1813. But for us, these two governor generals are not that much important. उनके आप बस नाम याद कर सकते हो. Sir George Barlow, and then we have Lord Minto. One more Lord Minto will come later on. Lord का नाम याद रखने जरूरी हो जाते हैं. The important for us from exam point of view is Lord Hastings. Okay, Hastings, just like Lord Wellesley, he was part 2 of Wellesley. He was also somebody who pursued an aggressive forward policy. He again wanted to control maximum area, okay, of India. That's why he is also very important from that point of view. If we see the challenges in front of him, there were various challenges. Like number one challenge for him was Central Indian anarchy. As we have discussed, that the Marathas, majority of the army of the Maratha was disbanded. These mercenary, they were known as Pindaris. So what these Pindari used to do, Marathas used to take them along when they used to fight. And after an area was defeated, Pindara used to loot and plunder. उनको कोई salary नहीं मिलती थी. And that's why once the Marathas stopped fighting war, because they had already signed the Treaty of Subsidiary Alliance. अब करें क्या? घर पे खाना तो पड़ेगा ना. So they started looting and plundering highways, commercial town पूरा के पूरा डकैती शुरू हो गया, है ना? So that's why they were mercenary raiders and they caused widespread chaos in different parts. Maratha disunity, internal conflicts with the Marathas, with some aiming to expel the British. Peshwa's intrigue, the Maratha Peshwa was plotting against the British. Bajirao II, he was feeling very bad. that I had signed this treaty, and because of this, most of our power has been subdued. So he was also thinking, let us do something and get out of the British control. Finally, we also see the expansion of Gurkha kingdom. Nepal wala jo area tha, this was also becoming stronger. And the growing Gurkha kingdom in Nepal posed a potential threat. That's why he is going to fight the war against Nepal also, which will give us many of the hill station areas of Sikkim, areas of Shimla, Kumaon, Himalaya. All of this will be taken by Hastings. आज देखो जो भी इंडिया है, it is because of the British adventures. जो भी एडवेंचर करके गए उसी को लास्ट में हमने समेट के 1947 में it became India. So that's how it has become. So let us see his response. So number one, he will restore order and he is going to fight against Pindaris, and number two, he is going to fight war against the Marathas as well as the Gurkhas. So if you see the Gurkhas, it was the kingdom of Nepal, emerged as powerful state from 1768 onwards, and when British were able to acquire Awadh in 1801, okay, it created a border with Nepal. उससे पहले नेपाल के साथ कोई border नहीं था. I hope all of you know Nepal is always in news by coming up with some maps which include Indian territories. तो आज तक चल रही है. तो इसी वजह से this war which was fought with them from 1814 to 1816 since long time. So Gurkha incursions into British control, they caused friction. May 1814, a Gurkha attack on a British police post resulted in casualties, and मौका ढूंढ रहे थे Lord Hastings. He declared war on Nepal. मौका दो फिर हम आते हैं. Okay, so several battles were fought throughout 1814 with initial success for the Gurkhas. However, later on their commander Amar Singh Thapa, he was defeated and the British ultimately prevailed. So this is how the Gurkhas, eventually you know that in Indian army there is a Gurkha regiment also, and the people from Nepal, they are allowed to become part of Indian army also. That's why the Gurkhas, they fought very bravely. However, the British, they were going to prevail in the end, and then they signed this treaty of Sugoli. Please remember this treaty. This treaty of Sugoli is very important. Why? Because large number of concessions were given by the kingdom of Nepal. Like number one, they relinquished their claim on Terai region. Once you read geography, you will understand these terms of Bhabbar, Terai region. So geography पढ़ना है अच्छे से. This Terai lowland, now this was under the control of British. They also gave Kumaon and Garhwal region, जो उत्तराखंड वाला एरिया है, Kumaon and Garhwal area, that also was taken by the British. They also withdrew from Sikkim. Sikkim became a protectorate. Okay, even after independence, I hope all of you know, 1947, it was an Indian protectorate. And finally, they gave an appeal that we want to become part of Indian Union. And by 1972, it became part of India. They agreed to British resident in Kathmandu, limited foreign employment to the British, okay, so that only British could become a part of their kingdom. And British gains, they secured the strategically important Himalayan foothills, including the area around Shimla. तो सारे hill stations ये लेके कौन है? British. They gained access to the future hill station of Wales, Shimla, ना civil service की जो most famous academy है, Labasna, Mussoorie. All of this was because of this war, the Gurkha war and the Treaty of Sugoli. इसको आप ध्यान रखेंगे. This treaty is very very important, and this is a part of the foreign policy of the British against the frontier states. The aftermath is very important. First of all, he got the recognition of Marquis of Hastings for doing such kind of wonderful work. The Gorkha bravery during the war impressed the British, and eventually they were recruited in the British Indian Army. They were allowed to become part of it. तो ये बहुत important है, which we can remember. In general, नेपाल के ऊपर डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन कभी नहीं आता, बट अ क्वेश्चन कैन कम विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द फ्रंटियर पॉलिसीज. तो जब फ्रंटियर पॉलिसीज की बात करते हैं तो थ्री मेजर एरिया. एक नॉर्थ वेस्ट में आता है, वेयर वी हैव द सिंध रीजन, पंजाब रीजन एंड द एक्सटेंडेड रीजन ऑफ अफगानिस्तान. एंड व्हेन वी सी टॉक अबाउट नॉर्थ एंड नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न रीजन, हियर वी हैव द रीजन ऑफ द नेपाल, एंड टुवर्ड्स द ईस्ट इट्स द एरिया ऑफ अहोम व्हिच वाज कैप्चर्ड बाय द ब्रिटिश. एंड व्हेन वी गो टुवर्ड्स कंप्लीटली ईस्ट, there we have the Myanmar. So Myanmar will be captured later on, not by him, it will be captured by Dalhousie. Dalhousie will be responsible for that. Then suppression of the Pindaris. The Pindaris, they were creating law and order problem, and he was a person who was very strong built of mind, and he said that I'm going to finish them off. So the origin of Pindaris, it is lost in obscurity, nobody knows कि वो start कहाँ से हुआ. But what do we know? There is a reference in the Mughal invasion of Maharashtra, but they did not belong to any particular caste or creed. It means that they may belong to Hinduism, they also belong to the Islam, or they are also Muslims. So they used to serve the army without any payment, but instead they were allowed to plunder. Once you win an area, जाओ अपना salary अपने आप अपने हिसाब से ले लो. And during this time, Bajirao won. They were irregular horsemen attached to Maratha army, and it is worth mentioning here that they never helped the British. They are mostly active in the area of Rajputana and the central provinces and subsisted on plunder. So plunder was the important profession, okay, and that's why they were doing it regularly. They were having leaders from both Hindu as well as Muslim communities. Important figures include Wasil Muhammad, Chitu as well as Karim Khan, and they were having large number of followers, and their activities intensified in the early 19th century. The reason is very clear, because the Maratha signed Treaty of Subsidiary Alliance and their wars activities were over. They plundered districts like Mirzapur, Shahabad, Nizam's territory, and they went even up to northern Sarkars. So that's why it was now in the hands of Hastings to take some strict action against the Pindaris. So while taking the strict action, okay, he wanted to eliminate them. He launched a large-scale military campaign, and see the number of troops that he used for that. More than 1,13,000 troops along with 300 modern guns were utilized, and this was a multi-directional attack. Okay, he personally led the northern forces. Sir Thomas Hislop, he commanded the southern front, and the fate of the Pindari was bound to end. The leader Karim Khan, he surrendered and he got a small estate. Wasil Muhammad, he sought refuge with Scindia, but later on he was handed over to the British and then he committed suicide. Chitu, he escaped but was killed by Tiger. Okay, and by 1818 they were decisively defeated and their raiding bands were broken up. So that's why law and order was brought in the right kind of shape in northern and central India of India by defeating the Pindaris. So Lord Hastings played a very important role in ensuring this. Then comes the final war, which will be fought with the Marathas. This final war with the Marathas, okay, this was also affected by the search for Pindaris. Pindaris, they were very much linked to Marathas, and when new treaties were signed from 1815 to 1817 with these Maratha chiefs, one thing which was included was that they are not going to support any of the Pindari. So that's why the Maratha chiefs were also affected, because these Pindaris were loyal to them. So consistent infighting, jealousies among the Maratha chiefs, Bhosle, Gaikwad, Scindia, Holkar and Peshwa. And at this point of time, Bajirao II also desired that he need to have freedom from British control, and he was also encouraged by his minister Trimkaji. Okay, so that's how it started. So what happened eventually? It was the murder of Gaikwad's minister Gangadhar Shastri on Trimbakji's order in 1815, and it led to British outrage and they demanded for his surrender. Initially he was handed over, but he later escaped, and this escape was bound to create a trail which will eventually lead to the Third Anglo-Maratha War. In between, they had also signed this Treaty of Pune, forced by the Peshwa by the resident known as Elphinstone, and the key points for the Peshwa: abandoned claim to Maratha leadership, reduced power and influence, and this marked a critical step in the Maratha decline. And finally, this restrictions, which includes after the death of Gangadhar Shastri, second signing of Treaty of Pune in 1817, and as the result of this, the Peshwa was completely disgruntled and he attacked the British residency. Okay, उनको treaty sign किया, force करा के, and then he went against the residency at करके, and however he suffered the defeat. Then the resistance started crumbling. They lost in the battle of Sitabaldi. The Peshwa sought help from Holkar, but they were again defeated in the battle of Baroda, and by December 1817, the dreams of unified power were shattered. Further British victory came against Scindia. Gaikwad of Baroda was also defeated and he signed the Subsidiary Alliance Treaty, and by 1818, the title of Peshwa was abolished, and the last Peshwa, okay, and his descendant, they were sent to Bithur. Bithur is a place which is very close to Kanpur. वहाँ पे send कर दिया, and finally, as all of us know, Nana Sahib is going to fight for his pension from Kanpur. तो इसके बाद जो पूरी मराठा की history है, that goes towards pension, and the major Marathas, they were now finished. Title was also taken that now no Peshwa is going to be recognized in the future. तो future में कोई भी पेशवा नहीं होंगे. That's what does this third Maratha war is all about. If you see the significance, what's the significance? It marked the final collapse of Maratha power. It's the end. Okay, now they're no longer going to be there. They were able to revive themselves after third battle of Panipat. They were able to revive themselves after the first Anglo-Maratha war. But starting from the second Anglo-Maratha war, starting from 1803 till 1818, these 15 years will mark the complete end of the chapter of Marathas. So ध्यान रखना, there's a very big difference in the Marathas of the earlier time and the Marathas after the 1800, because the death of Nana Fadnavis brings in a disarray in this kingdom and they're not able to solve it. And I think it was a very accurate comment. With the death of Nana Fadnavis, all the wisdom departed Maratha kingdom and they're fighting among themselves. And this infighting, फायदा कौन लेगा this divide and rule का? British. They're always ready. And what are the major causes for the defeat of Marathas? अगर हम overall summarize करें, like number one, it is the lack of capable leadership. Okay, we needed a very strong Peshwa who could keep people together. Okay, who could continue this confederacy. But that kind of leadership was not shown by Bajirao II. The major drawback of the Maratha power was also mutual bitterness. Like if you see the second war, this war started because of the quarrel between the Holkar and the Sindhiyas. Okay, and that eventually also engulfed the Peshwa also. They also hardly left any positive impact on conquered territory. This is also important. Suppose if you conquer some area, you should reform its administration. You should make the revenue viable. No such steps were taken by the Marathas. So that's why whenever they extended their empire also, it could not be strengthened. The Maratha did not have cordial relationship with other princes in Nawab of India. This was the major reason for the defeat in the third battle of Panipat. This is the major reason why they supported against the Mysore, which led to the end of Mysore. Once the Mysore was gone, who is going to support when Marathas will be defeated by the British? उनको पता होना चाहिए था that when they were supporting against Tipu Sultan in 1792, that once Tipu Sultan is gone, future में कोई भी नहीं रहेगा जो उनके British के against help कर पाएगा. And that is how what we see. And they failed to estimate correctly the political and diplomatic strength of the British. What these British were trying to do in India, what kind of strength they were having, could not estimate it. All the actions which were taken by them, they were impulsive actions. And impulsive action cannot give you a very good end. And that's why the sad end comes in the 1818. So that's why after this, the Maratha story is completely over.
Hi, a very good evening to all of you. I'm Vikas Alawat. I'm a former civil servant. I was able to crack UPSC twice. In fact, in 2018, I was able to get highest marks in history optional, and they were around 324. So this year, I'm coming up with a series which I'm calling Self-Study History Optional. इस series में 100 से ज़्यादा वीडियो होने वाले हैं, which are going to cover the different nuances of ancient, medieval, modern as well as world history. So those of you who are preparing for 2025, register करिए and try to get the maximum out of this specific initiative of ours. So at Prep Career IAS, we are producing results from last many years. 2023 में बहुत सारे टॉपर्स हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट से थे. 2022, 21 हर साल बहुत अच्छे टॉपर्स यहाँ से निकले हैं. And they have been able to get very good marks in history optional. So those of you who are thinking कि यार start करके कितना कर पाएंगे कितना नहीं कर पाएंगे, we already have achievements with us. I was able to achieve, my students are achieving, and you can be the next. इन सेशंस में क्या होने वाला है? नंबर 1, विल बी फोकसिंग ऑन फाउंडेशन ऑफ बेसिक कंसेप्ट्स स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम व्हाट इज हिस्ट्री, व्हाट इज हिस्टोरिकल पीरियड, व्हाट इज प्रोटो हिस्ट्री, व्हाट इज प्री हिस्ट्री, बेसिक लेवल. ओके. सेकंड, अलाइनमेंट विद यूपीएससी सिलेबस. जितना भी हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल का सिलेबस है वो 51 पार्ट्स में डिवाइडेड है. सो वी आर गोइंग टू अलाइन ईच एंड एवरी कंसेप्ट विद द सिलेबस इटसेल्फ. Number 3, we're going to focus on answer writing. All of you know कि जो मेंस है वो ऑब्जेक्टिव नहीं होता है, वो सब्जेक्टिव लेवल पे होता है, और आप सब लोगों को आंसर राइटिंग सीखना शुरू करना पड़ेगा, है ना. वी डू नॉट हैव टू मच ऑफ टाइम, तो जिस स्टार्टिंग से ही आंसर राइटिंग शुरू करेंगे. एंड नंबर 4, द ओवरऑल पैकेज इज़ वेरी होलिस्टिक इन नेचर. तो अगर आप इसको अच्छे से कर लेते हैं तो जो बेसिक लेवल फाउंडेशन हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल की वो कंप्लीट हो जाएगी. यू आर गोइंग टू गेट मैनी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स अलॉन्ग विद दिस. ओके. 100+ सेशन है, चारों पार्ट कवर होंगे. थीम वाइज सेग्रीगेटेड डायग्राम, फ्लो चार्ट, जितने भी इंपॉर्टेंट एनसीईआरटीज हैं. देखो, अगर हम सारी एनसीईआरटीज को कंबाइन कर दें, एंशिएंट, मिडिवल, मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड ऑफ वेरियस बोर्ड्स ऑफ इंडिया, तो 25 से 26 एनसीईआरटी निकल के आती हैं. उन सबको हमने कोहेरेंट फॉर्म में डिज़ाइन किया है सो दैट यू कैन लर्न द बेस्ट फ्रॉम दैट. ओके. बिकॉज देखो, हिस्ट्री में रिसर्चेस चलती रहती हैं. अभी तमिलनाडु की जो एनसीईआरटीज हैं, दे आर मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट in comparison to the recent history than the previous history जो कि आर एस शर्मा वगैरह, सतीश चंद्रा या फिर बिपिन चंद्रा ने लिखी है. That's why we are covering all the NCERTs and that's why 100+ सेशंस हो आ रहे हैं टोटल मिला के. देन 30+ वैल्यू एडेड आपको डॉक्यूमेंट मिलने वाले हैं, डेडिकेटेड आंसर राइटिंग सेशन मिलेंगे, जूम सेशंस भी करेंगे बाद में ताकि आप लोगों की जितनी भी डाउट्स हों विद रिस्पेक्ट टू लर्निंग दे कुड बी सॉल्व्ड. ओवरऑल जो है आपको क्लास की पीपीटीज मिलेंगी, कंसेप्ट लिस्ट मिलेगा, पीवाईक्यूज जितने भी पीवाईक्यूज हैं उनको अच्छे से हमने डिज़ाइन कर दिया ताकि आप सब उनको अच्छे से पढ़ सकें. माइंड मैप मिलेंगे पूरे सिलेबस के, वर्कबुक और लर्निंग असाइनमेंट्स मिलेंगे एंड सेल्फ असेसमेंट टेस्ट सो दैट वंस यू लर्न समथिंग तो साथ में उसको एटलीस्ट इवेल्युएट भी करना चाहिए ना कि भाई हमें कुछ समझ में आया भी है नहीं आया, एटलीस्ट जितना रिक्वायर्ड है वहाँ तक पहुँचे हैं या फिर नहीं पहुँचे हैं. तो आपको करना क्या है, What we need to do that सबसे पहले आप रजिस्टर कर लीजिए, ठीक है. आपको एक स्पेसिफिक गूगल शीट मिलेगा उसमें आप रजिस्टर कर लीजिए. देन एज ऑल ऑफ अस अंडरस्टैंड हर किसी के पास लिमिटेड स्लॉट्स हैं तो आपको एक स्पेसिफिक कॉल आएगा एंड दैट इज समथिंग विच वी आर कॉलिंग एट स्क्रीनिंग प्रोसेस. बिकॉज अगर हमें आपको ये सारी सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करनी है द नंबर ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स विच वी कैन हेल्प दे आर ऑलवेज लिमिटेड इन नेचर. सो अकेडमिक काउंसलर इज गोइंग टू कॉल यू, दे गोइंग टू हेल्प यू आउट, दे गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड आपकी रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है. हो सकता है आप कॉलेज के फर्स्ट ईयर में हो, सेकंड ईयर में हो, थर्ड ईयर में हो और यू मे हैव ऑलरेडी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर सम टाइम एंड यू आर नॉट गेटिंग द डिजायर्ड रिजल्ट. तो इसलिए हमें स्क्रीनिंग प्रोसेस चाहिए होगा एंड फाइनली ऑन द basis of this you're going to get the benefit of this program.